Omega Studios announced this photo on April 29, and up on the top there are 8 heroes that weren't in the playtest but have been confirmed to be just placeholder images. Now, I think it'll still be fun to talk about one particular hero there and how he can have a seamless integration into the world of Predecessor. Let's go.
Tried my best just to catch a fucking smile, but for now I see myself ain't hitting the 35. Been awake 4 days.
Ahmed here, and I want to talk about Kwang for this video, and how Predecessor may have the best version of Kwang we'll ever see. Now, how can I say this for sure? Predecessor's track record of hero integration. I'll explain. They've already done a phenomenal job with Sparrow and Chimera, 2 heroes who, in their life of Paragon, always had their passive abilities on their E. Predecessor moved these abilities into their passive ability slot and gave both these heroes abilities that perfectly matches their identity, and their new abilities complement their roles. Kwang is in a similar boat where his E is just a passive. Obviously, we just move his passive lifesteal aura over to this passive slot like they did with Sparrow and Chimera, and now this is where the real fun begins. He has a whole ass E for a brand new ability. But before we can even think of a new ability for any hero, there are 3 major things you need to keep in mind. 1. What is this hero's identity? 2. What is this hero's role and purpose? And finally, 3. Does this hero's abilities allow you to have a playstyle that fits this role? So with that being said, I want to start a conversation with the community of what Kwang's new ability should be, and I have my own personal take. This new ability is also reason number 1 why I think Kwang will be amazing in Predecessor. Let's step back a bit and ask ourselves, what is Kwang's identity anyway?
We basically wanted a really powerful initiator who could actually make some really interesting plays with this kit. In this instance, we knew that we wanted like gameplay around a sword, and so when we saw like Kwang's concept art, it just hit, right?
Right.
So we wanted to kind of play on that and make sure that that was the centerpiece of this guy's kit. So we kind of ran with that.
Yeah, and then as we kind of kept going, we were just like, but how could we make this work with the sword? And then we just realized that it was all about the sword.
Yeah.
And we really focused in on that.
So it's pretty clear that the devs from Paragon wanted Kwang to initiate with the sword, and what you do afterwards will happen based around the sword. You'll still make some plays, but you gotta be thinking about where that sword is at all times. I think that gives us a clear identity for Kwang. He is a magical power based initiator that is tied to his sword, but for him to be this control-esque fighter, his mid to long range tether where he can't even basic attack afterwards is simply not enough. So in my personal opinion, you may agree or disagree with me on this one, but tell me your thoughts in the comments below. His new E ability needs to be a form of hard crowd control around his sword. The idea I had in mind was maybe a knockup around the sword. If Kwang has a sword, the knockup is around him. If Kwang's sword is out on the field, the knockup happens around the sword. This not only matches his identity, complements his role as an initiator, but will also allow you, the player, to have a playstyle that fits the initiator role. This brings me to my second reason why Kwang will be amazing in Pred, and this conversation begins and ends involving his Q, Judgement of the Heavens, where he throws his sword and tethers targets that are hit for a set duration. The single most worst thing about this ability, in my opinion, is that Kwang is unable to basic attack while his sword is not in his possession.
Because like the idea of having a sword you throw into the world and then interact with it is kind of like it's seemingly out there, because like you don't have a basic attack, and not having a basic attack is kind of a weird concept, it feels like.
Sure, of course. Definitely it was a matter of kind of iterating, getting the best feel of him, but we really wanted to hone in on that initiator, and he is going to work better with another player around him, so he's going to be comboing really well with other heroes. So we were saying, well, what if we sacrifice his basic attack so that the rest of his kit is more rounded and more powerful towards that synergistic combos with other characters, and we got it in the math and everything, so it worked out really well.
Yep. I'm gonna have to disagree. I don't think it was that bad, but I really hope Omega fixes this in their own unique way that makes sense and stays true to the character, is balanced, but most importantly is fun and impactful. Finally, the last reason Kwang will be epic in Pred. Not only will reworking Kwang's Q to make it so he can basic attack be needed, but the tether is a really interesting mechanic to integrate into Pred because of one major thing: the fact that everyone has a blink. Why is that a big deal? Check this clip out.
Yeah, it'll keep them from using mobility skills.
Absolutely.
So like you can
kind of
tether like a Gideon, and he can run around within that radius, but he won't be able to blink away.
Right. So once you get him kind of in there, they're kind of stuck, and that's basically his core loop that he kind of plays around.
Did you hear that? His Q was originally intended to not allow movement-based abilities, and I can only wonder if that stays true for blinks as well. What if Kwang's Q in Pred didn't allow you to blink? It's something every character has in this game. It's something to think about for sure. I'm sure Omeda has already made Kwang and are testing him internally, but I thought it would be fun to have a conversation going with him, seeing as how things have been pretty quiet lately with Pred, and I know a lot of you are dying to play this game again, as do I. But that's enough from me. Those are my top 3 reasons for Kwang. I want to hear what you guys think of my ideas though. Do you agree? Do you disagree? Let me know what you guys think. Huge shout out to my friend Jason and everyone that has liked, subscribed, all that stuff recently. I really do appreciate it. Thank you for watching, and I'll catch you guys in the next one.